Welcome to another episode of China Update, where I provide you with the most up-to-date political, economic, and geostrategic analysis on the world's number 2 economy. My name is Tony. Let's jump in. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Before we move into the main stories, we note reports from the last 24 hours that Russian leader Vladimir Putin may visit Beijing in May. It's reported that this will happen before Xi Jinping travels to Europe to coincide with the 60th anniversary of Paris-Beijing diplomatic relations. One of the intentions of Xi's Europe trip is to rebuild bruised relations with Europe over Xi's so-called no-limit partnership with Putin, despite his war in Ukraine. With a Putin trip, this may further complicate an already complex and sensitive mission. Let's now move on to the main developments. First up, Hong Kong's legislative body, overhauled by Beijing in recent years to shut out opposition, has passed the Safeguarding National Security Ordinance, also known as Article 23. This was a surprise, coming much faster than anyone expected, and likely taking many off guard. The controversial national security law will go into effect this weekend. Article 23 was the fastest bill passed in the city since 1997. Hong Kong's Special Administrative Region Chief Executive John Lee said after the vote that the passage of the bill is a historic moment, adding, "It is a proud moment for all of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region in collectively making glorious history." Hong Kong-based South China Morning Post explained today that insiders said for Hong Kong authorities a swift enactment of the bill was a calculated strategy to catch foreign powers off guard and therefore minimize the potential impact and duration of any punitive actions or smear campaigns against the city. Quote, "A decision to get the bill out of the way quickly was made to allow the government to address Hong Kong's economic woes and jumpstart recovery after the COVID-19 pandemic." End quote. As we have discussed in a previous video, the law targets 5 types of offences: treason, insurrection, sabotage, external interference, and theft of state secrets and espionage. Those convicted of the first 3 face life in prison, while anyone found guilty of sedition could be jailed for up to 7 years, or 10 if they have colluded with an external force, up from 2 years previously. It also gives new powers to the police and courts to extend the pre-charge detention period for those held on suspicion of endangering national security to up to 16 years, and to restrict detainees' access to lawyers. Proponents of the law argue that it's necessary to safeguard Hong Kong's security in an increasingly uncertain world and bring Hong Kong more in line with mainland laws. State media's explanation was much more on the nose, with state-run Global Times writing yesterday, quote, "The main purpose of the law is to prevent the US and Western forces from engaging in infiltration, incitement, and espionage activities in Hong Kong, building a shield for national security together with the National Security Law for Hong Kong." End quote. Critics argue that it's an authoritarian tightening of control which undermines freedoms previously perfectly compatible with national security. Yesterday, Tuesday, the Biden administration said it was alarmed by the law's vague wording, adding that the measure had the potential to accelerate the closing of Hong Kong's once open society. UK Foreign Secretary David Cameron said in a statement soon after, quote, "Hong Kong's reputation as an international city was founded on respect for the rule of law. This new law, rushed through the legislative process, will have far-reaching implications." End quote. A statement by the High Representative on behalf of the European Union similarly expressed, quote, "The overall impact of Hong Kong's new national security law is that it will further damage the rights and freedoms enjoyed in the city." End quote. And of course, one of the other concerns is the further damage this law could have on business confidence for the once thriving international financial hub. Indeed, one commentator called it the final nail in the coffin. US-based Wall Street Journal writes today that confidence in Hong Kong among foreign businesses and executives has been shaken in recent years amid social unrest, strict pandemic rules, China's spluttering economy, and a national security crackdown. A range of multinational companies have left, moved regional executives, or downsized their operations in Hong Kong, including a number of firms that gather business intelligence. The number of regional headquarters of firms based outside Hong Kong continue to fall in 2023, including those from the US, UK, and Switzerland, according to data from the Census and Statistics Bureau. Mark Wu, the director of the Fairbanks Center for Chinese Studies at Harvard University, observed today, quote, "The new national security rules have eroded Hong Kong's distinctiveness for foreign firms and Chinese exporters. Its comparative advantage is less clear than it once was for many businesses." End quote. In a piece called "Hong Kong Security Law Could Damage City's Image as Financial Hub," US-based The New York Times writes that business people in Hong Kong say many of the activities prohibited by the new legislation could already be deemed illegal in some form under Beijing's legislation from 2020. So they are watching to see how the new law is to be implemented. Hong Kong's stock market has lost nearly half of its value since the passage of that legislation. Today, a government spokesperson pushed back against many of these arguments, however, saying that more than 98% of the over 13,000 submissions it received during a 4-week consultation, including many from the business sector, have positive comments. Commentators were quick to point out, however, that it wasn't particularly safe or wise to argue against the new legislation. Chong Jia-yan, Associate Professor of Political Science at the National University of Singapore, observed yesterday that mainland China's own national security drive has created, quote, "enough uncertainty and worry to discourage foreign investment in recent years," end quote, adding, quote, "Article 23 is expected to create a similar climate that could have a chilling effect on investments. At the very least, it will not improve Hong Kong's economic situation or encourage more investment," end quote. And this brings us to our next development. Beijing really needs more foreign capital and talent. But just quickly, if you're getting some value from today's episode of China Update, I have a huge favor to ask. That is to like and subscribe. It's just 2 clicks of the mouse, but it's a huge help for the channel. Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee links are also in the description for those who want to help keep the channel financially sustainable. Thank you so much, everybody, for the ongoing support. Yesterday, the State Council issued the Notice on the Action Plan for Solidly Promoting High-Level Opening Up and More Vigorously Attracting and Utilizing Foreign Investment. A long title. The plan is about building an investment in China brand and to greatly attract foreign capital into the country. State media trumpeted the news, with state-run Global Times writing, quote, "The concrete plan shows China's determination to further open up and is set to boost the confidence of foreign investors," experts said, refuting Western media outlets' claims of foreign investment retreating from the Chinese market. End quote. Of course, as regular viewers know, China has seen a retreat in foreign investment in recent years. Investment in China by companies based abroad has sunk to the lowest level in 30 years, according to official data released last month. China's foreign direct investment totaled $33 billion on a net basis in 2023, according to the State Administration of Foreign Exchange, down about 80% from 2022. The figure was positive as new investment surpassed outflows. Japan-based Nikkei Asia writes that foreign companies have been scaling down their Chinese operations after the Chinese government focused more on protecting national security, including a crackdown on spying. Authorities tightened their grip on research companies, conducting market analysis and other activities, and there have been reports of workers of foreign companies being detained. Gallup, the American research company, decided last year to withdraw from China, for example. It is in this environment that the State Council has published this action plan. The action plan explains that in order to expand market access and improve liberalization of foreign investment, the nation will refine the negative list for foreign investment, carry out pilot programs to ease access for foreign investment in scientific and technological innovation, and allow wider participation by foreign financial institutions in banking and insurance. Policy support in taxation, finance, and energy consumption will be implemented to make the nation more attractive to foreign investment, and the list of industries and projects that encourage foreign investment will be expanded. Point 17 of the plan says, quote, "Support the data flow of foreign invested enterprises and their headquarters," end quote. And point 22, quote, "Improve the rules for cross-border data flows," end quote. These are 2 particularly sensitive areas for foreign businesses operating in China. Meanwhile, China is also trying to attract more foreign talent as workers and students. However, this situation looks even worse than the investment situation. 10 years ago, as many as 15,000 Americans studied in China annually. As of the end of 2023, only 350 Americans were studying in mainland China. Thus, China's announced goal of hosting 50,000 students in the next 5 years looks wildly ambitious, almost comical. Even the number of South Korean students, China's largest source of foreign students, has dropped by 78% since 2017. At the recent Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, Professor Jia Qingguo of Peking University spoke on what has caused this collapse in numbers and why it needs to be reversed. Jia observed that COVID-19 could not be the cause, since international student numbers are already returning to pre-COVID levels in other countries. Rather, Jia cites 3 other possible culprits. First, there is the perception that studying in China is not very meaningful for foreign students. That is, the quality of the universities is not very high. The second reason, he said, is that foreign companies have scaled back their operations in China because of the worsening Chinese economy, which means fewer internships or similar opportunities for foreign students to find employment. Third, Jia points to the quality of academic research and the issue of ideological correctness. Of course, Jia fails to mention the elephant in the room: China's reputation, especially in the developed world, both in the West and in Asia, has suffered greatly in recent years. And frankly, it's just not a very attractive destination for many students or workers. This is a challenge Beijing will need to overcome if it wishes to attract talented people back to the country. But in the current international political environment, and with Beijing's behavior in recent years, this may prove very difficult to achieve. Okay, that is today's episode of China Update. Thank you so much everybody for watching. Have a good Wednesday, and I will see you all tomorrow.